Hey everybody, I'm on location at the NMLZ compound transforming this house, but I did want to get this project done. We believe that the OG vacuum system is the best system on the planet, but I think we need to prove it. And so Tommy's devised a process, devised a bunch of specs that we want to compare. So I've gone out and bought, I'm not sure how many we bought, but we bought like a dozen, and I'm sure there's a dozen more, so maybe in the comments make suggestions of other vacuums you'd like to see us test. But I did this very similar thing with the pressure washing project, where we went and bought all the sort of the big names, the Ryobis and the Greenworks and stuff like that, tested it all out, and then compiled a spreadsheet. So I want to do the same thing with vacuum systems, and then if our vacuum system isn't the best overall package, then maybe we need to either improve it or pick one of these others. So we're going to go through this testing process. Bear with Tommy as he nerds out, and Bryce is going to be helping him out as well. And I hope you enjoy this process of us figuring out what's the quietest, most efficient. It isn't always the best specs that make the best package. We found that in pressure washing. But the combination of what's the frequency of the sound, how much sound does it put out, how much suction do you have, what is a score of like real world use. So we're going to test all these things out, figure out what makes the most sense, and then hopefully continue to improve the solutions we have available. The other thing that we're hoping to do in the not too distant future is to get into accessories. We've been talking to our friends at Detail Factory about maybe even making a new custom line, because we've scoured the earth to find the best accessories that exist, and the pickings are slim. So hopefully over time we can figure that out as well. But let's get into the process. Let's start digging into vacuums, and let's figure out what's the best.
Hey guys, today we are going to be coming up with a method of testing vacuums. So similar to the pressure washer tests that Matt did years and years ago. He bought one of all different types of pressure washers from a bunch of different brands and put them through their paces to see what they actually get in the real world. So as we've been developing our vacuum system, we've also learned some things that there's not a lot of truths out there in the vacuuming world. People just spew specs and no one really knows what they mean. And they're also might not be telling the full truth on how well a vacuum actually performs. We just wanted to show you guys what we are looking for in a vacuum, and then we'll go through how we're going to test. And today we'll just do ours, but there'll be more in the series where we test a bunch of different brands from, a bunch of different, I don't know what I'm saying.
All the major vacuums.
Yeah, all the major vacuums, yeah, exactly. The ones that you can find on Amazon and Home Depot's, like easily accessible ones, I should say. So anyway, this might be a little clunky. We're just kind of wanting to show you, I guess, behind the scenes on how we're coming up with this test, and yeah, we'll just get to it. We'll have an amp meter, so we'll measure the current of the vacuum to see how much power they're drawing from the wall, see if you need a 15 amp circuit or a 20 amp circuit. My guess is most of the vacuums that we'll be testing will be able to run on 15 amps, no problem. And then we also have a decibel meter to check the sound of the vacuum motor. And then the two kind of performance metrics that a vacuum has is its suction, which is measured in inches of water lift, so that's what this guy will measure. So you can just stick this on the end of the vacuum hose. And then flow. So if you watched a while ago the Ego stubby testing video that we did, we used this device to measure how much flow the blowers were doing. And so this is basically the same way, but in reverse. So of course, instead of air rushing through in terms of it blowing out, it's going to be air rushing through it through suction, basically. So we've always said that for our vacuum, the most important aspects are, again, the performance. So that's suction and flow, but then also noise. So that's why we decided to go with these three main things to focus on for testing. So we'll just get this set up, and Alex will follow us along with the camera, and we'll get going.
All the numbers we're getting, everything that we're testing is on we're making another spreadsheet. So if you know the pressure washer spreadsheet, we have all the numbers out there and available. We're going to do the exact same with the vacuum spreadsheet. So you'll know that we're not, fudging the numbers or anything, and you'll see. Yeah. So yeah, Tommy, if you show us what we got.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, so I guess I should mention too, so like normally at our setup at OGHQ, we have a hard plumb system that goes from the reel to the vacuum. I took that off for this, just so we can use some of the adapters so that this can attach easily to the tube. If you buy the standard solution from us, you will get the jumper hose that looks similar to this. But anyway, so this cord allows us to throw the amp meter on there. So we just put this around the white cord here. You can turn that on. Then I'll go ahead and plug the vacuum into this. And so that can measure, current. The other important thing to note is like the way like this works is it can calculate flow based on like the pressure and airflow and stuff, but you need to measure the diameter of like basically the tube or duct as they call it. So I'll go ahead and measure this and input that into the meter just so we're so let's see, it is 1.875-ish. So let me put that into this guy. It might be preset from me testing earlier. I just want to make sure. Goal 1.875, yeah. Okay, cool. This guy, we need to connect these up to the tube. I don't remember the orientation though. I think there's, let me look at the manual. I'm pretty sure the white one goes on the bottom and the black one on the side, but let's double check. So black on the T and then white on the bottom. So black goes to the T. Alrighty, so now we've got the flow meter all hooked up. Okay, so let's go ahead and hook the vacuum up just real quick to make sure we're getting numbers reading in. But yeah, the goal of these pressure washer tests, again, is just to what did I say, pressure washing? That's funny, yeah, the goal of these, see, I'm stuck in pressure washing. No, the goal of these vacuum tests is just to, again, give real world performance and kind of show you like what vacuums will actually do versus what manufacturers say they will do. From what I have found from all the vacuums that I've tested so far, I think pretty much all vacuums perform pretty similarly. The biggest difference comes to longevity of the motor and how quiet it is. And if you've watched any of our vacuum videos, that's one of our main selling points that we say is it's a really, really quiet vacuum. Anyway, so Nick, go ahead and flip that on, and we'll just see how if this reads at all. So you want to make sure that the pitot tube or whatever this is, the flow meter is in the center of the duct. Yep. So we're getting 96, 95, which sounds about right to me. So go ahead and turn it off, Nick. So one thing that I learned just from initially setting this up was that the hose being unwound versus wound up on the reel actually makes a pretty big difference. So for all of the tests, what we'll do just to remain consistent is I'll just pull the hose out completely. That way there's not as much, I guess, air restriction from friction, from the air turning over and over and over again. I'll just pull it out completely, boom, and then I'll just do a simple U-turn just like that. And I'll just have that be standard for all of the tests. So now if you flip it on, I'm pretty sure the flow goes up. Go ahead. Yeah, so now we're reading around 106-ish, so that's good. Okay.
106, you said?
Yeah.
And that would go into measured.
Okay, so now that the flow meter's working, I think we're pretty good in terms of we know that for consistency's sake, we want the hose completely drawn out, right? So there's no restriction there. I think we do want to take this out just so it's easier to handle, honestly.
Yeah, I think having this connected somewhere.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Better.
We wanted to measure sound, so we'll measure sound at two places. We'll measure it right next to the power unit, and then I think we'll measure, I think I said 25 feet away, because that's about how long or how far away you'll be from your car when you're vacuuming. So I think that'll make sense. So I'll get a piece of tape if you want to measure out 25 feet, and then we can just mark that on the floor. So we've got 25 feet marked out over here. I'll just stand right here at every test and measure from here. Decibel meter reading is pretty simple. Let's do suction. And I'm actually curious, just on testing, if the suction changes based on if the hose is wound up or not. So let's go ahead and just turn the vacuum on and throw it on there and see what it. So one thing that we'll have to note too, so our vacuum specifically has a pressure relief valve on the back here. What that does is when the hose is clogged or you shove it into the carpet, you'll hear a really loud air release, really. And what that does is it ensures that air is still flowing through the motor so that you're still sucking up debris. A lot of other vacuums, if you don't have that, if you clog the vacuum, there's no airflow at all. And so this just ensures that there is constant airflow so that the debris is continually sucked up. But anyway, I'll throw this on and then we'll see. So that's the air release. And so right now it's set to, what's that, 100 inches of water lift, it looks like?
Roughly.
Yeah, and so if I make sure that the air relief doesn't go, the suction should go higher, which is really what the motor is capable of doing, so that's what I'll do. So that goes up to 120 inches of water lift. So let's, again, turn this off and wheel this up just out of curiosity. If you guys don't have a hose reel, you need one. It's so much easier to manage the hose. And you can see how quickly I just did that. So, all right, I'll go ahead and turn it on again and see if there's a big difference. My guess is for suction there won't be a huge difference, but we'll see.
Pretty much exactly the same.
Yep, slightly less, if anything, like maybe 5, but negligible, I think. Okay, cool. That's mostly it, honestly. So I think let's figure out how we really want to keep dealing with this, just because of the weight of it. Like I said, I think we take this out. So
I'll get that. Hang on.
zip tie this like that, I think. And then I'll just by hand kind of center it. Yeah, that's a lot easier to do, I think. So put it as far forward as you can. You don't want to deform the tube, so yeah, that's perfect. And
Put it right behind.
yep.
So just for you guys, we were having some, as you saw, some issues with when we attached the vacuum hose. It wanted to kind of pull everything out of, like, it wasn't good. So hopefully this will secure it better. So we can just plug the hose on. It'll be a little more,
Yeah, and I'll just center it.
a little more consistent. And then yeah, we just physically have to move the tube to the center of it, which
Yeah, I think
there's
that's
always
good.
going to be some margin of error.
So I'll pull the hose out again so we'll get the initial measurements on our vacuum. For consistency's sake, do you think we should put a new bag in there just so that there's no, influence of how dirty the bag is? Because we've been using this a ton, Do not do as Nick is doing. Don't stand on wheels.
Bag is actually brand new.
Bag is new?
Yeah, it says nothing in it.
Okay, cool.
Brand new bag. Fitted correctly.
All right, yep, and now I'll just connect in. So now I should be able to kind of connect that up.
Yeah.
And then just kind of center that when we run the test. Okay, sweet. So I think this is our test. So Alex will get some B-roll of the whole thing, but this will measure our flow. So this is a flow meter. It's basically like a pilot pitot tube if you've seen on an airplane. And so that will measure the airflow rushing through and get the flow that way. We know now that the hose coiled on the reel matters. So for every test, we're going to completely unwind the hose the full 50 feet. We have our SPL meter to measure the noise level, and we'll measure that both at the motor unit and at 25 feet away, which we've marked. And then we're also going to measure the current draw. And other than that, the other things we'll check are like the accessory size, like of the outlet of the hose, and the accessories that come with, and the other vacuums. For this one, it's ours, so we know all the sizes and know it works together. But with vacuum accessories, there's not really a standard. There's like most common ones, which are like the 1 1/4", which is what ours are. But the Flex, for example, is an 1 3/8" accessories, I think. So we'll compile a list as well in the spreadsheet that Nick mentioned that has a list of, hey, this vacuum has this accessory size. And then eventually the goal is to have an adapter that you can use, so you can use our accessories with your vacuum that you already have if you'd like. So yeah, we'll just jump right into it and start measuring our vacuum. And then, yeah, the upcoming videos that we'll have will, we'll do all the other companies and brands and stuff. So let's do, I guess unlike with pressure washing, we can kind of do everything at the same time, honestly.
Pretty much.
So I'm just going to go ahead and turn the vacuum on and just get SPL because that's probably the easiest to do. So I'll go ahead and turn this on. So right next to it, actually I should probably change it. It's at like 72 and a half. That's a 71 and a half now. But as you can see as I'm talking, my voice is louder than the vacuum. So when I'm talking, it's going anywhere from like 76 to 78. And when I shut up, 71. So now I'll go ahead and I'll go all the way 25 feet away. I've got to change my level because it's so much quieter over here. $54 dB, that's pretty good. All right, so now let's go ahead and do flow. So again, we've already set the flow meter appropriately, so we measured the duct size and put that in there, and from here, it can calculate how much air is flowing through the tube. And so for the most accurate measurement, I just want to make sure that this is centered in the duct as much as possible. So it looks like we're, yeah, I don't think that's affecting it much, but let's see. We're right at, it's hard to get this centered. I might want to move this closer actually. Sorry, Alex. So that's pretty good. So what are we at there? 107, 108. Let's say 108 is the max that I see. So if that's 108. Yes, measured, yep. Alrighty, so the last test. So I think there's 2 amperage measurements that we're gonna measure as well. There's one where the vacuum's just running with the hose open. Vacuums, unlike pressure washers, are a little bit different. With a pressure washer, if you decrease the nozzle size, you're making the motor work harder and then it draws more current. With a vacuum, the vacuum actually draws the most power when it's completely open. So when you restrict the size of the hole on a vacuum, it actually lowers the current draw. So when you turn on a vacuum, that's when you'll see, of course, the big inrush current. But if you leave the hose just open, that's where you'll see the most current draw. So let's go ahead and measure it just open. So we'll go ahead and flip that to amps. Yep. So that's reading 14.9, so just under 15. So this can and was designed to run on a 15 amp circuit. But you'll probably want it to be a clean 15, so a dedicated 15 amp circuit. And so now what I'll do is I'll go ahead and just kind of, clog the vacuum anyways, and you'll see that the amperage should go down. 13.3. So it went to 13.3, and then if I drops down to 11 when I undo the air release.
Current draw open. I'm just going really quick, sorry.
Sure.
So we have rated current draw open, sealed.
Yes,
So
so, yeah, rated.
Rated, okay, so measured current draw open would be 15.
15.
Yep. And then tested current draw.
Well, these will kind of be the same. So it's confusing because this has our accessories, but with the other ones, there'll be their OE accessories and then it hooked up to this.
Got it.
So this one will be the same. So I'll just put a kind of
So
dash
measured would
there.
be or their accessories
OE
tested
accessories.
as our accessories.
Yes,
Got
exactly. So rated and then measured, and then where's the amperage draw? Open.
It was current.
Oh, open and then comma sealed. That's what it was. 15, comma. Was it down to 11, right?
Yeah.
When it was sealed. Okay.
Cool.
Sweet. I forgot to record this. Like probably the most important one, right? Is the suction that the vacuum has. So we'll plug this on there real quick. So as I mentioned before, our vacuum has an air relief. So we'll measure it with the air relief going, and then I'll go ahead and clog the vacuum, and then that's when you'll get like the true performance of the motor technically, right? So I'll just stick this on here and try to get it kind of centered. So it's right, I'd say 98 is when the air relief goes. And then if I clog it, it goes up to like 120 about, just under 120. So that's the major tests, and then we'll, off camera and stuff, we'll measure, the size of the motor unit itself, because I think that's important, because, in your garage you often have limited space in where you can throw stuff on the wall and stuff. So we'll measure the size of each canister, because some of the vacuums, other brands' vacuums, are bigger and take up more wall space, and then we'll get the weight of them too. We'll also kind of rate the accessories that come with each vacuum. This is going to be super, subjective. Like, it's really hard to be objective with how well the accessories that come with the vacuum are. So we have a ranking system. I don't remember what I said exactly, but we'll rank them 1 through 10 based on the, let's see here. We'll do the quality of them, so just like me touching them, the ergonomics of it, so like, does it feel good to use? Is it comfortable to use? And then the effectiveness of it. So with the effectiveness of the accessories, maybe we can get like a car and just quickly, get a floor mat and just use the accessories that come with the other vacuum. Most crevice tools are the same, so I don't think we'll see, oh, this crevice tool is way better. But maybe we'll be surprised and find something awesome. And that's partly why we're wanting to do this too, is to see what else is out there. But again, from everything that I've found, all of the accessories are pretty much just recycled stuff. And so we've gone through what we found as the best existing on the market, and then the future hope is to make our own and partner with another company to make really good, high-quality vacuum accessories that you actually want to use rather than dreading. So that's the initial test. Again, we'll do this with all the other vacuums, and I guess that's it. As Matt would say, stay tuned for more crazy.